All right, and welcome to the latest and greatest from Step Brother Sports, part of the Hockey Podcast Network and the Bills Mafia Buffalo fan base platform, brought to you by Rich Brow Brewing, located at 5 South 20th Street, Richmond's premier Buffalo Bills backers bar. Listen to us anywhere where you find your podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, review, smash that subscribe and notification button, and do all those, like we always say, great engagement functions for the show. Always appreciate it on any of those platforms. Follow me, Chris Maz, on social media platforms at CFMAZ and Sonny V at SV the Don NHL, and follow us on YouTube at Step Brother Sports. And we're testing out our brand new Fancy Pants intro song and intro theme put on by Shawnee V right there as he's playing some air guitar for us.
Not air guitar, Les Paul guitar.
Ooh, his actual Les Paul, even better.
That's right.
So, either way. So, folks, we got some more Bills football to talk, and hey, we have some actual real Sabres hockey that we just got done talking about from this past weekend too. But with that also, we can go down another fantasy football rabbit hole for folks because we had a great time talking about that last week. We also have our buddy Carl, a fill-in host. He's here to rejoin us once more, just to kind of recap a little bit more about the Bills, preview the matchup against the Dolphins coming up on Thursday Night Football. And again, we just love to hear his takes and see his beautiful face. So,
Carl,
anyway,
good to see you.
Yes.
Yeah, always good chatting sports with you guys.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and, look at this. Our friends on the Sports Brew podcast, go ahead and get McDaniel fired after Thursday Night Football. Drop the hammer.
Love is there a possibility? You think the 3 games? Is that what it's going to take?
You never know. Yeah, you never know. But for our friends on the Sports Brew podcast, that I believe they're also going live tonight. We look forward to hearing them. Our friends down here in Richmond. Shout out to Sports Brew.
Chris Maz put me on, guys. Love listening to you guys. I'm subscribed. Very excited to listen to you guys before bed tonight.
Yes. So actually, you probably won't listen until later this week because Mr. Justin Green, he likes to do some quality audio work right there to make sure they're in tip-top shape. So
they record, but they don't go live. I got you.
Yes. The captain makes sure they have some tip-top quality audio. So credit to him. Shout out to him. But anyway, let's go ahead and just do a quick final few thoughts of Bills Jets from this past weekend because, again, thorough dominant performance. You didn't even need Josh Allen to go superhero mode like he did against the Ravens this past Sunday. And yes, and high fives again, yes, to the Sports Brew folks and fam. Yes, thank you so much for also helping us get acclimated to our podcasting platform as well. Couldn't have done it without you guys. So, but still, with the Bills, again, this past Sunday, they had, again, dominant performance once more. Josh Allen not needing to do a whole lot. James Cook kind of took the reins as far as showing off what he can do with his legs still, fresh off that new contract extension. So some great efforts by the defense. Justin Fields, he had 27 yards passing before being taken out for going into concussion protocol. Joey Bosa and the defensive line had his number, as well as just solid defensive play all around. Carl, what were your initial thoughts after watching the Bills dismantle the Jets this past Sunday?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have went to the game, which was awesome.
That is right. You are boots on the ground for that game in all of the New Jersey. Would we call it greatness here? But at the same time, they can't be the New York team, as we always say, being in New Jersey in the Meadowlands.
Not even like in a good part of New Jersey. I don't know if people know this about like broadly speaking, but it's almost like just a joke amongst
the armpit. Yeah,
it's called the Meadowlands because it's in a swamp and it's really hard to get to. Like even if you want to take a train, it's like 17 stops. I had my buddy come from Brooklyn and it took him like 2 to 3 hours, but it's a pretty fun tailgate. I think mostly because it's like a lot of Bills fans, at least where I was, Lot F. I was pretty close to like Pinto Ron and a lot of those guys. So they have their like Bills flag. They're like 7 or 8 flags or something, really easy to find. Hung out with a couple friends from high school, some friends, Tim and Jenny. I ran into like a neighbor that's a Bills fan. I had another colleague that was there. So like, it's just, the more you're down here, or even if you're not like from in and around the west or downstate area, like it's fun. You can go, tons of Bills fans. It felt like 60-70%. We used I don't know if I don't think this is a plug. I don't know if you guys will mind, but I used Game Time to get my tickets. Guys, it's incredible. It's
We
really good.
would love a Game Time sponsorship. So if Game
Yeah.
Time, if you're
Or
listening,
Tick
but
Pick, Game Time, whichever.
any of those, yeah.
You don't segregate.
Yeah, no. I use them for Bills and Sabres games all the time. Whenever they're down here for Rangers games, those are easier for me to get to than like Devils and Islanders. But I always, whenever Buffalo Bills or Sabres are down, I'm doing it. We got tickets the day before for $96, like right behind the end zone.
It's
In
awesome.
fact, like when Elijah Moore had that jet sweep touchdown, I was freaking out, going crazy. I look one way. There's like a huge like stir in with all my neighbors and stuff, and I look over. It was one seat behind me, like 7 seats over. Elijah Moore threw the football into the stands, and the guy got the ball. It was pretty
Yeah,
incredible.
you were close. You were close. I'm
Yeah,
so close.
yeah, close, and it was like really cheap ticket. Those were cool tickets. I saw like that one big Josh Allen run where he did that like hurdle. That was cool. But it is tough to see a lot of the game from those seats, but I'd recommend it. It's pretty fun to be so close, and like some of the vantage point, seeing like James Cook's second touchdown, he's coming towards us, seeing a lot of those cool plays from our end out, like that Josh Allen like pseudo hurdle to get over a guy and break off a chunk play. But I have to say, man, we definitely talked about this before, but being in the Josh Allen era is nothing to take for granted, because not only do we get the joy of having blowout games like that, but like being there, you can. And I'm trying to be as kind as possible to the Jets fans, but it was like beyond deflated. It like before there was some optimism, like some of the guys were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be like maybe one score game or something," and they're feeling optimistic. They're feeling optimistic after their first week despite a loss, but like that game was almost like beyond flat, and they weren't even like mad at us. Like I feel like with the Patriots, people are like hated Brady and they hated him. They always wanted to like rag on him or find any opportunity, but like they just felt apathetic. It didn't even seem like they were surprised that they were losing, upset they were losing. They were just kind of like out of it. It was kind of sad actually, but it was a fun game overall. Obviously, it was like just so decisive. No joke. I have like a time lapse, maybe a dozen pictures of the guy next to me by quarter 3 or 4. This guy was sound asleep for 30 minutes. It's really funny. I have lots of pictures. I'll share with you. I think I already gave it to maybe one or both of you, but
I was
but
gonna
yeah,
say,
I
I
mean,
think you
I
sent it
know
to
I'm scheduled.
one of the group chats we're in. It was like the dude definitely just passed out. It was
It's
hilarious.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, timestamp like from the first to the last was 20 minutes, and there's obviously like 5 to 10 minutes on each end of it. So conservatively, like 30 minutes. Homeboy was just passed out. But so yeah, I know I'm speaking more to the maybe the vibe of the game versus like a lot of it, but maybe one piece of commentary to give some props when Josh Allen went out. Mitch Trubisky came on so quickly that I almost thought it was like a trick play or something like that, because it was just so quick. Allen popped his helmet off, ran out. It was really tough for me to see what happened. Like he was really close, and I could see him, take off his helmet. His beautiful locks were just flowing, just run into the sidelines, and then it was almost like Mitch already had his helmet on and just ran right in, and I could see it like all happen right in front of me, and it's pretty amazing that he came on so quickly without needing a timeout, like really any notice. I don't know like what sort of hand signals or what they do to indicate that you need to come in as a backup, but it was remarkable how well Mitch Trubisky came on and obviously threw that amazing pass to Joshua Palmer. So that was one big takeaway for me. It was just like that's pretty impressive, and it's nice to have a steady hand at backup quarterback, maybe for like exactly those reasons.
100%. Carl, I just had two quick follow-ups for you for being there, on the ground in their stadium. One, did you get any shit? Did anybody heckle you early on in the game? And two, what time did the Jets fans start to like head for the exits?
Yeah, first, not really. Like I was in the Bills area. At least the lot F seemed to be a lot of Bills fans. I felt like we were outnumbering them a whole lot of the time. I even was able to, when they do their Jets chant, it's like the easy
JETS, yeah.
The easiest to counter, because when they get ready to like say Jets, you say suck.
Yeah.
That. So I was just doing that all the way in, and like nobody really seemed to mind. If anything, like even if a Bills fan was trying to like give the Jets fans like some crap, I almost felt bad about it. I was like, guys, come on, we don't need to like rip on these guys. They're losing by like 20 points. The guy's just trying to get like, I don't know. So it just seemed very low key. That's what I mean. There wasn't like a whole lot of animosity. I've been to Rangers games where like I feel like I'm being targeted, and it's pretty fun, but like it gets a little hostile. But at those Sabres games, it might be like one set of one set of Sabres fans per section. Like I was just surrounded by Bills fans. Like even the Jets fans were just kind of like sitting down, or one guy kind of had like his kids, and one was just kind of like middle-aged or something like that, like just a little reserved, and I'm like literally just like giving high fives over them. So
that reminds us of our time we went to Baltimore Stadium a few years back. Bills, that was like the one where the Bills won in like the rainstorm. They won in like the game-winning field goal again too.
The worst.
Yeah, that was a tough one to start with. But then obviously they pulled it out. But then Detroit on the road was pretty interesting also. Like there was like a lot of like mutual respect, but at the same time enough of like jabbing back and forth where you still got like, again,
the
nobody
MVP.
like outright
Remember
hating,
the MVP chant?
Oh,
that's what it was.
There were
kept going back and forth.
dueling MVP chants for Jared Goff and Josh Allen throughout that entire game, which was again like warranted for both of them, but still, like the Lions fans were getting a little salty for all the MVP chants for Allen.
Yeah, Goff seems a little optimistic, but for the MVP chance, but at least last year. But yeah, no, it would have been nice to actually have like a little bit more of that. There was not like a whole lot of it in my experience. Maybe there was another section where like there was like a little more, but they also, to your second question, they left really early. We were scoping it out because we did want to get closer. We ended up chilling because we just liked our seats, and there we could see enough, so we didn't try to move up anymore or move to a different section. But like, by halftime, there was like a good amount of seats in front of us that were just like empty. And then admittedly, I did leave in the fourth. I didn't want to, but my ride was in a Jets like section, and it was also peeking in the sun, so it was like the sun was right on him, like his section. I could see where it was, and it was right behind
and it was not a cool day for you guys, from what I understand, right?
Dude, that's why my seats were sick. It was in the shade.
So yours were awesome. Oh, his were in the sun. Yours were fine then.
Yeah, his were. Yeah, no, he was big. Yeah, and his section was by the third, under the third, start of the fourth was it had to be like 80% empty, like all like, and that's behind where the Jets sit. So their bench. So that's like all Jets fans. They all want to be right there. That's like the premium tickets. So yeah, a lot of Jets fans definitely left really early.
Yeah,
I mean, traffic does suck leaving the Meadowlands, like
sure.
but unfortunately, I did need
like
to
a
leave.
lot of things over there, probably.
Yeah, pretty much. But especially the Meadowlands for some reason.
Yeah. To kind of put it back in our rearview mirror. Actually, go ahead, Sean. I want to interject.
No, I was going to just say, just so Carl brought up something that, I mean, I have just a couple final takeaways to tie a bow on this game and turn the page. I'll tell you what, when Josh went out with that injury, like it felt like my heart, like in my throat. And as I'm watching that play unfold, and I know like it doesn't make sense. This isn't going to make any sense because it's just the way that it happened. It wouldn't have been the case. When I watched him get tackled and then immediately like get up and like go out, I was thinking like all his weight, if you watch the replay, it seemed like he landed like on his leg. And I'm like, oh shit, like he hurt his knee. He did something to his knee, he tweaked his knee. This is bad. And obviously he ran off, which should, for the most part, kind of nip that in the bud. Like, but you know, you're just in the heat of that moment. I'm like, oh my God, like Josh hurt his knee. Like he's done. Like this is terrible. But so relieved when you see him take the helmet off and you see like on the TV broadcast, the blood like coming out of his nose. Like it was like a massive amount of blood, like just like a heavy, thick stream coming out. And they had it zoomed in on him. Romo was like, oh my God, something's not right. You know,
Oh,
like,
him and Nance both. Yeah.
Yeah. They're making
dramatic.
it seem like it was super dramatic, worst case scenario. But, you know, obviously super happy that they were able to ice him and minimize the swelling and whatnot. But as far as the game goes, just a couple of thoughts. It was nice to see, one, the defense had a resounding kind of an answer. Obviously, McDermott and I'm sure Bobby Babbage probably lit up the defense somewhat just based on, you know, missing some of their cues and maybe misdiagnosing some plays. And just for the fact that they gave up a lot of big chunk plays. But again, as we've covered on last episode, it's the Ravens. The Ravens very well could be the top offense in the league. So we don't need to beat a dead horse on that. I definitely think that's close to the truth. Maybe they are the best offense, or at least the most, for my money, maybe the most well-balanced offense in the league, right up there with the Bills. So it was great to see them step back. It was great to see them be opportunistic. And for my money, Joey Bosa played his ass off as following, you know, Ed Oliver probably being our best player last week on defense and then being out. That was kind of like, oh, a blow. And now Taron Johnson's out for this game. And the Jets have a very similar, you know, duo combo of quarterback and a stable of running backs.
Everybody wanted to compare them to them being like Baltimore light in a sense, but it could not have been further from the truth because the Jets ultimately still, right. The Jets ultimately just turned into, you know, the same old Jets in that game. I mean, It's unfortunate. Like Aaron Glenn, like again, being where he came from in Detroit, like we obviously loosely follow them for our dad's sake, is because again, by association and vicariously, like kind of a pseudo cheering for the Lions, but still, like you would think he would be like a prime candidate to like actually do a good thing for that culture. But again, they were making so many undisciplined mistakes with like penalties that just bailed out the Bills on several of their drives throughout it. Like whether it was pass interferences, holding calls, things of that nature. I mean, the only like times I feel like you get on the Bills was the offensive pass interference like Keon Coleman had. I mean, which was, I'd say like
was
the only
light.
Like,
that was light too.
Really I mean, honestly, it felt like a makeup call for what some of the other Jets penalties were, but still, overall, the Jets were just the Jets. Showed us like what they truly were at this point. I'll be curious to see if there will be an actual improvement for old Bill's favorite returning to the fold, Tyrod Taylor, taking the start this week if Justin Fields is unable to go since he's still in concussion protocol, at least as of this recording. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, but still, to kind of put that one in the rearview mirror, Thursday Night Football, Bills Dolphins. So a lot of things going on with things down in Miami because let's just say things aren't looking to be as sunny as things are typically in Southern Florida at this point in time because Dolphins are sitting at 0-2. Tua has looked considerably rough going through the first 2 weeks, especially that first game against the Colts. He was just several turnovers, whether it was interceptions or fumbles. He had a back-breaking interception, I know, in the game against the Patriots this past Sunday when they were just in the process of really getting some momentum into that game. But they also, the Dolphins themselves, had not only a great a punt return for a touchdown, but right after that, the Patriots strike right back with their kickoff return touchdown from Antonio Gibson. And the Patriots never gave up the lead after that because the final drive, for the Dolphins resulted in Tua just making some not so great decisions and ultimately getting sacked, forcing a turnover on downs. So a lot of things to really like deflate some momentum, especially early in the season. That's 2 AFC losses back to back with each other. Not to mention one of those being a division game against the Patriots being one of them. But now with the Bills coming to host them less than 48 hours from now, honestly, like anything can happen. Like as we are reminded by our sports brew friends here, Mike McDaniel very much on the hot seat for his coaching position, and he might not see the light of day come Friday, depending on how the end result of this game goes. If it's a true blowout, which a lot of sports books are calling for. I mean, the Bills are, depending on where you're looking, up to 12.5-point favorites in some spots. I see 11.5. I mean, still, you could always count for a trap game because, I mean, there have been plenty of times when the Dolphins have played the Bills tough. So I've gotten to the point now just because, again, we've been conditioned by the drought not to overlook any opponent just because, again, Bills have shown that they can drop games. I mean, I also on Sunday, like even before the game, talking to a few other friends saying I thought the Jets were going to be extremely stingy and annoying like they were. But I mean, am I confident for the Bills going into this game? Yes, but still, you have the threat of Tyreek Hill. You have the threat of Jalen Waddle. Devon Achane has always gashed them for a lot of yardage. I mean, excuse me, the Dolphins could definitely put up some points like they have been prone to do against the Bills these past couple of years. But if the defense has really like turned a corner and gotten a lot of those first game jitters like behind them at this point, and they could really feast on a lesser offensive line for the Dolphins compared to the Jets, which is a pretty respectable unit, especially in their previous years, and the Ravens, and getting Tua's timing and rhythm off balance, like especially early on in the game, that could open up a lot of opportunity for some early defensive turnovers, some short fields, kind of similar and reminiscent to the Thursday night game last year against the Dolphins, that one being in Miami. Sean, what are your initial thoughts going into this one? Because I could see this one, again, being very one-sided, but like I said before, I'm not going to overlook any opponent just in this day and age, just because that's just how things tend to go sometimes.
No, and one thing you've always heard, especially lately from McDermott, is like he said it in the post game with the Jets. He said, we're going to play them again, keep everything out of the media, humble, respectful type of thing. So they're always going to approach every game and obviously assess what each team can do on both sides of the ball. So I think that the Bills will be ready. And honestly, I know it's only been 2 games. This year feels a little bit different to me, just based on the depth, who we have coming back, and just the way as far as the defense goes, you mentioned it. If they can cause maybe a turnover or 2. I saw a statistic this afternoon that the Bills have led the turnover battle or won the turnover battle in like 25 straight games or something, which is pretty crazy in today's NFL. But and that's a testament to an opportunistic defense and the way that Josh Allen's protected the ball in the last season and a half or so. If the Bills, I would say this, if the defense can cause some turnovers and the Dolphins don't play like an immaculately perfect game, I don't think they have any shot to win. And one thing I really want to talk about is the offense. And I want to just quickly go back just for a second to the Jets game and just remind everybody, and if you didn't watch the game, this is an offense that basically Josh Allen threw for about 150 yards or so. He wasn't needed. And obviously in years past, Josh has owned the Dolphins. It's statistically probably his best opponent that he's played, definitely at least in the regular season. He regularly has 350-yard games passing, 3-4 touchdown games if you just kind of look through the game log of his career against the Dolphins. But you look back at the Jets and why I think this year is different. You had obviously a James Cook game, but you stayed in your heavy set of personnel. And the guys, we have barely seen, like, what has Shakir done? Keon, yeah, he had some targets in week 1, but as far as like opening up the passing game, they didn't even have to do it last week. You had both your top guys and targets were your 2 tight ends because you were running, mainly operating out of, running formations, and obviously your tight ends are going out for passes. But the fact that the Bills can dominate a game against a somewhat formidable defense that I think most people will consider the Jets to be, they can win even more in a variety of ways than maybe even last year. So would it surprise me for the Bills to come out and maybe have, I know Josh has 350 yards? Sure. but I don't know that he needs to do it. I think they can decide, both in pregame preparation, and obviously it's a short week, but they can pretty much just dissect what the Dolphins have put on film in the last 2 weeks and just say, this is what we're going to do. And there's nothing that they can do to stop it, whether it be just running the game and just give Josh a break. Obviously he's nursing a bruised or broken nose, whatever it is. We don't need Josh to throw for 400 yards. We know he can. He definitely can against this team. But it's like, this just seems like the year they have all the different answers. They have a checklist of things that they can do on offense, and they're just roll it out at any given week. So because of that, and we're not one dimensional in any way, the Dolphins don't have a chance in this game. And like I said, unless they play a perfect game, even then, I don't know that they win.
I mean, McDaniel's coaching for his job at this point. Carl, what are your initial thoughts going into this game, and any like potential predictions that you have for whether it's on offense or defense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the McDaniel's storyline needs to be monitored very, very closely. He's already been doing this for a while. I just looked it up. He's got slightly above 500 record, which I don't think is good enough in the NFL, right? Like, especially with all the hype and a lot of resources that he got, getting Tariq Hill and high drafted quarterback and everything like that.
Well, Tua wasn't even his choice. I mean, he inherited Tua when he started, don't forget. And then not to mention, like, every former 49ers running back who was just a typical speedster came his way. I mean, the Dolphins were previously at like well, maybe not so much now, but like they might get that for the income tax factor, but still they were a go-to destination just because McDaniel was the hottest thing around. I mean, Tyreek Hill brought some extra star power there. He unlocked Tua essentially for those couple of great seasons, but we'll see if that can even continue.
Yeah. It's what Cowherd says. Are they all sizzle and no steak? Maybe they were just sizzle for a while, and now it's sizzling out, right? So I'm not too worried about them overall, but it's also not coming from like a sugar rush. Even a couple of years ago, it was like, man, these guys are fucking blowing everybody out, and I kind of see that with the Lions right now. They're like 50 points, crushing it, but it just feels like the Bills they're just a truth. They're truth in our division. That's just going to be really tough, and it's gotta feel challenging for all those fans and the players too, to know that the Bills are coming. Not to say they're also desperate. Like, people with their backs against the wall can do some crazy stuff. So, this can definitely be a challenging game. In terms of predictions, this offense is just so challenging to predict. That's why I don't know if we're still talking about fantasy football later, but like
we will. Don't you worry. I wanted to highlight a couple picks. Whether it was I did it. Joe Marino had one that he wanted to get. We want to make sure he gets some praise for, and then just any others that we have for this coming week too. So don't worry. Plenty of fantasy to go.
But yeah, I've talked about this with other folks that are like, "Oh, Carl, did you draft a lot of Bills players?" I'm like, it's kind of tough to draft Buffalo because you don't know if Palmer's getting it, if Shakir's getting it, if Cook's getting it, if Coleman's getting it. It's like they just spread it so easily. It's tough to like make an assumption on which way it's going to go. And like, yeah, that last week you would have thought Shakir would have had tons, and then the stat line was pretty light. What I do think is interesting is the way that Bean and I'm presuming McDermott have drafted and put things together in the past couple of years, namely with Cole Bishop and Maxwell Harrison. Obviously, Harrison's still out, but Cole Bishop had a great game, and I point those two out because of their speed and the historically what we've had to face in our conference with the speed of a lot of receivers, and obviously what Miami's brought to the table, and the Chiefs as well. So it has felt to me like that's the piece that we're combating a lot of the speed with, and the Dolphins are going to be a really good test, and I'm excited to see what Cole Bishop can do in this game. Like, seemed like he had a bit of bounce back. had a nice sack, like did a couple good stuff.
Both the safeties showed a lot more physicality this past game, so I could see that being a hopeful upward trend for them, especially after just getting gashed so badly in that first game. So I'm hopeful that can be a continued trend.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just kind of like folks thought that, the Jets were kind of like a Ravens light. Like, they got really fast running backs, they got really fast wide receivers. Like, it'll just be interesting to see how that plays out. So I'm interested. I'm going to tab that as kind of like my focus on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
All right, like that. So I think we're all on the same page where we could see a pretty dominant Bills win. But again, I'm of the mindset not to overlook anybody, of course, just because, again, it is the NFL. But I could easily see this one getting out of hand early by the third quarter and maybe seeing another game with Mitch Trubisky just kind of mopping things up for us at the end. Well, at least you hope so. And obviously no major injuries. Again, a Thursday night game, you get that lack of recovery time. You hope that's going to be just another game where we come out unscathed. Obviously, we've all seen the Matt Milano news with just that pec injury. There was a nice little tidbit that came out from today's press conference with McDermott that Matt Milano, he potentially might practice tomorrow, so it might not be as serious as initially feared, which is great to see. But in the meantime, if Dorian Williams was to be the player to take his place, I think we've now seen some pretty solid play from him these past couple of years to show that he can easily take the reins and obviously show a great deal of that athleticism that he's already shown for us. And he's did a pretty great job, especially filling in for Matt Milano, especially I think at certain times last year, he was leading the team in tackles. So that's something you want to see out of like your linebacking core right away. I mean, especially if you're drafting them as high as they are with between both Bernard and Dorian Williams. So like to see that. But now to kind of transition things over to the fantasy side again, I have to get one gripe out of my way, and I'm honestly going to have this be my grind my gears portion of the podcast. Yes. So the grind my gears segment and also the give them their flowers segment brought to you by Larger Than Life Blooms. Again, your opportunity to go larger than life. Feel free to check them out on their Instagram page at LTL Fantasy Florals. But the player that grinded my gears this week in fantasy football, and I can honestly even say the offensive coordinator of this week, Greg Roman. What are you doing? Not running Omari and Hampton more. I got denied by literally less than 1 point to a guy in I'm going against a dynasty because Omari and Hampton got 24 yards and one catch. He got 3.5 points.
Ooh.
Boo indeed. Greg Roman, of all guys, to not get the running game going for the Chargers. I mean, credit to Justin Herbert. He looks like he's finally starting to show some real pizzazz and some sparkle finally. It only took him, this will be 5 or 6 seasons at this point. But still, Omari and Hampton, you killed me in a dynasty league this week, and I lost by less than 1 point. So shout out to Sherpa Dave. He beat me by literally 0.94 points, not even a full point on there. And what's more insulting is that he started Tua against me. So he started Tua, and I started Jared Goff, which is even worse. And
he had a game.
Yeah, he sure did. I mean, credit to him. Like I'm pretty light on running backs in that league. So Bijan Robinson was my starter for obviously, but I didn't have a whole lot going for me otherwise with the other running backs. I mean, I had Ray Davis just as a late round flyer last year. My only other viable running back was Devin Singletary. He's not doing a whole lot anyway. So again, Devin Singletary, a Bills running back player, ghost of the past right there.
Single carry, I think the fantasy football owners like to call him Devin Single Carry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's about all he'd be good for. But yeah, Omari and Hampton, you killed me. Thanks for nothing.
I do have a quick fantasy question for you guys, if I could.
Go for it.
I brought this up yesterday. So I ended up drafting, and I have to give part of the credit to my partner on this team, Boston Mike. So we split a team over in a live draft, 12-team draft. It's drafted with Todd Rogie, so Rogie's Beach League up in Clearwater. And for this team, we had a hell of a draft at receiver. We started 3 receivers and then obviously a 4th with the flex potentially. So here's what we have. And I want to ask you guys about a potential trade.
Yeah.
Especially this week, our receivers tore it up. So we drafted Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., J-Mo for Detroit. We also have drafted Roma Dunze, who just had a hell of a game, Keon Coleman, and then we had the first waiver claim last week. We picked up Quentin Johnston, who had another touchdown. So he's had back-to-back games with like 20-plus points. Unfortunately, we did lose Aaron Jones, the running back from Minnesota, who had a good first week, but he is now out, looking like he may go to IR. So my question to you guys and anybody else in the comments section is, out of the following 3 receivers, who would you trade to try to land a starting caliber running back to replace Jones? Keon Coleman, who obviously Buffalo fans, he had a good first week. Didn't really throw to him much. He had a couple targets in week 2. Quentin Johnson, who's had back-to-back touchdowns and solid games, and Roma Dunze, who just had a 2-touchdown game. He got us 34 points in a blowout loss to Detroit. So I'm looking to trade one of those 3 guys. But just be curious to know which one of those guys you think either might be the most replaceable or maybe would net the best return. Chris, I think you might have alluded to it earlier, but I'll let you comment again here.
Yeah, so we were talking about this earlier. I mean, obviously he was a waiver wire pickup, but the way he's looking, he's getting a lot more targets and he's showing a little bit more reliability so far. I'm liking Quentin Johnston being your guy to offer up in a trade, but since these are your reserve receivers, now
Right.
this could be where you could sweeten the pot by adding either Odunze or Keon Coleman to get maybe one of those at least better or upper tier running backs.
Looking for a star running back. Yeah, if I'm doing 2 of those guys, for sure.
I mean, there's no reason why I don't think you could do 2 of them, especially if you already have so many like great options there already. You said you had Marvin Harrison,
Neighbors, Marvin, and J-Mo.
I mean, you have some great starting options there to go right away. I mean, and just cycling any of those guys out, I think would be easy for you. But I mean, if it were now, I was thinking about this earlier after I'd messaged you today, saying there's no reason why I feel like you couldn't package 2 of them, especially to a team that's like dying for receivers, to not be able to get something decent in return as far as running back goes. I mean, Carl, would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean the tough part about packaging, it's not exactly like a team to team in the NFL. Like they're going to need to have a need for 2 wide receivers for that to make sense. So if there's an opportunity for you to do that, I think that's a great option because those are 3 players with tons of upside that are young and could pop. You want that in your wide receiver 3 or just like bench slot. I guess if you already have your starters set up, my thought would be, like, who do you think is going to be? I would say like start. Well, one, you do want to know what you feel like what the appetite is for the players. Like obviously the one that has the best perceived value, but you might also want to think about it from this perspective. Who do you want to keep? And that one that you're keeping is probably going to be sounds like your bench or like close to it, maybe flexus type player. And in those spots, I usually want consistency. Like so, which one of those players is going to have like consistency week over week? Because that's going to be the one like, okay, somebody goes down, we got to put this guy up, and I need to be getting me 10 points, whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
so like, who's that guy that's going to be like, kind of like get it a bunch? And I don't know that Coleman's that guy yet.
right.
Especially about the Bills' offense earlier, like he could blow up. Might really want that,
right? Or do nothing if they have a running game, right?
They might stop playing in the 4th quarter. Like
right. And this is more so. This would be a Brian question in terms of this is what I'm starting to see, and I think week 1 slightly, but definitely week 2. It looks to me like Roma Dunze has become the number 1 receiver in Chicago. It's surpassed this is for usage past DJ Moore, where DJ Moore is going to be more like the guy who's running, just certain routes in the route tree. Dunze is more like a possession guy. So when I'm seeing that, he had 7 catches on 11 targets for 128 and 2 tuts. Like, that guy needs to be probably in the starting lineup, which means at this point, I'd be probably looking to take out, based on performance, either Marvin Harrison or JMO. JMO had a big week. Marvin Harrison's been a little underwhelming. So I'm thinking that I'm going to replace Marvin Harrison down into the bench for Dunze. But like I said, I mean, you really can't go wrong. I mean, we drafted a bunch of great receivers, so we're lucky. But great to hear your guys' opinion. I do appreciate it.
Yeah. I have a fantasy question too. I was just looking at my app. Somebody dropped Xavier Worthy, or it's 12-team league. But I just have I don't know that I need him. It'd be nice to have some backup wide receiver, but I also just don't know if I want him. I just having a Kansas City player on my team, and this is the league where I'm actually kind of competitive in. I have a couple that are whatever. If I forget to do my lineup, that's okay. But this is the one league that kind of matters. So I guess I got to ask you guys: do I put my Bills fandom first, or do I just?
When it comes to fantasy, you just have to. I mean, I used to not specifically draft players like, I don't know, Brady when he was on the Patriots and stuff in the past for those reasons, by being like, you're playing to win, especially if there's money on the line. Swallow your pride, go for the gold, man, as Josh likes to always tell us, Josh Uline.
Yeah.
So go for the gold. But to kind of back up that point with the Bears, you were saying, Sean, also I'd be all about getting Xavier Worthy, especially if the Chiefs are just crying for a receiver to actually perform well. I mean, obviously he has to be in better health than what he was. I mean, dude just literally had a dislocated shoulder.
What about Rasheed? Is Rasheed is out until week 6?
6 weeks, right? Yeah. He's suspended first 6 games. He'll be back in time for the Bills game, which we are all going to. Yeah, so it'll be fun. But as far as the Bears go, they are playing Dallas, and if Dallas has shown what their defense has been like these last couple of games, Rome Odunze might exactly have he might have a great game, especially if he gets matched up against let's just say Kyer Elam. So he has a fun fact about Kyer Elam to kind of be like a good riddance moment there for Bills fans is that he has given up the most passing yards to opposing wide receivers at this point, with 250 yards given up. So not a great look.
I've been seeing Dallas fans are roasting him on social media right now.
Yes. So
really
hasn't exactly been a quality pickup for Dallas either. Yeah.
One man's trash is another man's trash.
Pretty much.
It's funny because another man's. It's funny because I was talking to my buddy who drove me back, and I was like, "Yeah, what's going on with Clear? Like I know he started, and I looked up the stats, and I was like, man, he's leading the team in tackles and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if you want that from your cornerback. Like that means he's giving up receptions. Like if he's getting a lot of tackles, that means like people are catching the ball around him.
It's like when your safeties, our safeties used to lead the league or lead our team in tackles. It's like, because they're getting through our first 2 lines of defense, linebackers and linemen. That's not good.
Yeah. One pick I was proud of last week. I talked about the Jonathan Taylor streaming option against the Broncos, and I was glad to be right, as he was one of the most dominant backs of the week on there too. I'm gonna obviously, because yes, he is an elite back. It's kind of an obvious choice still, but him against Tennessee this week seems like an obvious choice for my top running back of the week once more. And he just, as long as he's just showing that consistency that he's had these last 2 weeks, and being a reliable option for Indiana Jones over there for the Colts, I think they'll be a fun team to watch throughout the year. I'd be curious to see who ends up going for that division now. Granted, it's early, first couple games, because you have a whole season to go here, but the Colts have been quite the interesting watch. I am liking Jonathan Taylor against the Titans this week. As much as Cam Ward can be interesting with those throws across the body like Josh Allen in his first couple of years, I just don't see too much things being sustainable for the Titans this year. But I do want to give some props to our guy Joe Marino for having a almost prophetic moment for his fantasy pick last week. I have to remember exactly who he called for.
From the Titans receiver.
Yes, the Titans 4th round pick. He was talking about him. His name was
some kind of goofy name.
Real quick. Ayaminer from it was the 4th round draft pick of the Titans. So he had that touchdown. He called it. Called it like he saw it. So again, nice job to Joe there for that call as well. But still, I like Taylor again versus the Titans. I am honestly hoping for a bounce back actually, I'm praying to the football gods for a bounce back for Justin Jefferson because J.J. McCarthy was not it against the Falcons defense. As an owner of Justin Jefferson in 2 leagues and somebody who was overly optimistic of McCarthy's talent to start things off, he unfortunately has disappointed as a first overall fantasy pick. Well, not first overall, but like first pick in fantasy at this point so far. So, hey, maybe Carson Wentz will sling some balls towards Jefferson's way, and he can get back up on the stat sheet again because they're playing Cincinnati, also against a backup quarterback. But, I mean, I'm hopeful that Carson Wentz and his desired return to Minnesota could be something beneficial to them. I think not from a fantasy perspective, but from a potential game of the week option. I like being able to see Detroit at Baltimore as a just quality, like football is on the TV, you should watch type of game for Detroit versus Baltimore. Yeah. And that's on Monday night. They have the primetime game on Monday.
Very nice. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I remember texting you guys about my quarterback selection for my league, and I picked up Jordan Love off waivers, and now I'm pretty confident as my go-to guy for the rest of the season. So feeling good about that Jordan Love pickup for sure.
I also have Carl and Kraft too. I got him throwing to Kraft. So you double dipping. It's great.
Double dip.
Yeah. So glad we could talk a little bit of fantasy there as well, just because I like that being a little bit more of a segment for us at this point, especially with it being so topical this time in football season. But we got 932 currently watching us this time. Thanks for tuning in. But we hope you stick around with us. Yeah, we hope to keep you around as we're about to talk some Sabres here. Because our guy, Joe Marino, he was our boots on the ground at the Prospects tournament this past weekend. Obviously, the Sabres prospects, they left quite a bit more to be desired. They had some good moments, of course, but they unfortunately went winless for the entire tournament and the 3 games that they played. But again, like we said before, there were some moments to kind of take some silver linings there with some individual performances. But we could talk about a few things, Sabres, just because training camp for the rest of the team starts tomorrow. And we can start looking ahead to preseason for the Sabres starting next week as well. So, Shawnee V, take us away with some takeaways that you and Joe had yesterday in your Twitter Spaces to start us off.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to, and Carl, just so you know, I'm going to play the audio clip, and then what we could do is, if you have any, just like raise your hand or just let me know if you want me to pause it, and we could just talk about some of what we covered. Joe was able to get a couple interviews with Murtka, Mike Leone from Rochester, and also I forget the guy who's going to be on Rochester.
Red Savage.
Michigan State's captain. Yeah, Savage.
I'm
going to play that.
Great name.
He was awesome. So yeah, we're gonna let it run, and then we can just comment if you guys want me to pause it.
Just good work, Joe. By the way, that's awesome.
Yeah, he did awesome. He did a great first job, first time with the credentials. So cool. Shout out to Joe for killing it.
So bear with Sean. We're learning all these fun, fancy new features on StreamYard.
We are live here on Twitter, X, whatever, Spaces. This is something that Chris Maz and I did a couple times in the last maybe year or so. I think it's kind of an underutilized tool in the X world.
Yeah, we'll let it. I'm gonna let it run a little bit. I'm gonna turn it down, and we'll crank it back up again.
Episode of Step Brothers Sports that we're recording live tomorrow night to do some Bills.
Yeah, so shout out to Joe. He did a great job. He was in the locker room pre, during, and post game.
But tonight I am joined here by the third member of our team, Mr. Joe Marino. Joe, how the heck are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me on this beautiful Monday evening.
That's right, man. You watching any Monday Night Football in the background?
Yeah, I am. Last I checked in, there was a big blocked punt.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, Tampa and Houston looks like it's
So
a
we
1-point
talked a little bit of
game right
football. We
now.
talked Monday night. I don't know if anybody watched those
In
games.
regulation. Tampa's
First
won.
game last
I
night
did actually pick
was much
Tampa
more
to,
competitive.
they were a very
I did
short,
actually call Tampa
underdog.
Bay
I think
winning that
2.5
game as an
points or so.
outright dog.
But I did pick them. They
Actually,
were my
Billy the Kid
hometown
from the
team.
Treehouse had
Well,
the
you know, at least when
Patriots,
I went to
Colts,
Tampa for the
and
last
Tampa
couple
Bay
years,
Bucks
but
as a
thought that
three-team
they would win.
all underdog
But
parlay that
nonetheless,
paid plus
we do have
800.
an extra Monday night
So
game.
that was pretty
It's the
cool.
first
And
one
the
of the year.
second
The
game,
Monday night
Raiders and
game.
Chargers
Yes,
was not as
it
interesting.
was the division
It
game
was
between
basically
the
no
Raiders and
scoring
the
in the
Chargers.
entire second half. Chargers basically just
The
held the lead
reason
for most of
why
it. But
we are on
here we go, though.
is to
Now we're on
talk some
Sabres.
puck. So Joe had a pretty cool opportunity to go to multiple games in the Sabres Prospects Challenge tournament that started. I believe Joe was Friday was the first game, correct?
Yeah, Friday and Saturday, and they also played today. But because I've got a day job, I was not able to make it to today's against Pittsburgh.
Don't
Hey,
we
man,
all,
2 out of
Joe?
3
Don't
ain't
we
bad,
all?
as they say. I'm the
2 out of
same
3
way.
ain't
I would
bad.
have loved to have gone. I have gone. I've gone in years past. Gone, with the credential, and saw. Obviously, it's the top prospects of all the different teams. I think there was 4 or 5 teams
There's a previous
participating this
credential
year.
for us.
So kind of that round robin type tournament. And so, yeah, I mean, just give us an overview of I've been in your shoes before, so I kind of know what it's like. What was your first experience like, kind of being in the media scrums and interviewing some of the players? Just give us a general overview about what that experience was like.
Well, it definitely was an awesome opportunity, that's for sure. It's been a long time since I've covered anything with
On a
a
side note,
credential.
real
Last
quick,
time, and the only time I've ever
the
done it before
Sabres,
was
with all
actually
of
the
the first round, second
2018
round, high
NHL
draft picks that we've
Prospects
had,
Combine.
they
It
go
was
0-3.
Rasmus Dahlin's
Pretty
draft.
interesting.
So I was there covering it for the Charging Buffalo, and haven't really
Yeah,
done
I
anything
mean,
like
it's
it
like
since. So this was
we
the
just
first
rush our
time I
guys up so much. I
covered a
kind of
game,
wonder
although it was just a
Right.
prospects
how
game.
much, like,
Awesome
what's the
experience
density,
for sure.
like when we have
Got
Owen
to meet
Power
some
just
of the
stepping right
Buffalo
up as our
media
first
people.
pick
Got
in
to
that
see
year.
some
Like,
people
It's true.
is
around
the other team's
the
pick from that
hockey
year like
world
still in
as
the pipeline
well.
developing
Seeing
and
like
like
Scott
covering
Wheeler
us?
walking around, seeing
So,
Oh, sure.
some
well, I remember
executives
I sent you
from
guys that
other
one article with the
teams
top 25
randomly
under
walking around
25.
too. So
So I
yeah,
was
overall it was a
frustrated by
really
that because
cool
there's so many like
experience.
Very cool.
players
Very
that
cool. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll get
on
right into it.
the team.
Obviously, you're going to be our main guy on the ground for the most
Here we
part
go.
in Buffalo
So here's the
this
main
season, which
content here.
Chris Maz and I are very excited. Being that if those of you who don't know, Chris is in Richmond. I am in the Atlanta market. Chris obviously is, not only has a day job like the two of us do, but he also has a brand new baby, my nephew, baby Henry.
Yes, good.
So as much as he would like to do a ton of traveling and go to games and cover the games, he's doing the family stuff. So we feel lucky and blessed to have Joe step into that kind of
Shout out
the
to Joe
role
Marino.
of more or
Great
less
job on this.
our home beat reporter
You hear some of his
for
interview.
Buffalo fan base and WUFO. And then I will kind of take the role on the opposite end of being
Yep.
more or less
I'm
the away
excited to
guy,
do
and
a
I
lot
will
of
try
these
to go
away
to as
games
many
this year.
away
Starting to put
games as
out
possible. That
20. They say
me
20
being
here.
someone who has some hookups on travel, and that's my day job is in the travel and hospitality industry. It will allow me to get to. I'm hoping for about 20 away games. That's kind of my goal.
That's the goal.
Which would be about half the away.
Under over
slates being
15, Chris.
games, 41
away
home,
games I
41
go
away.
to. What do you think?
Going to try to go to 20 that are
I'd say
maybe
even.
easy.
Okay. I think
Being
15
that I'm in
sounds
Atlanta,
reasonable.
it's a little bit easier.
Where are you?
Atlanta's a
What
huge
are you
hub for
targeting?
Delta
Like,
and some other airlines. It's
I'm
geography?
easy
just
to
going to
get
try
to
to
pretty
go
much
to
anywhere from
away
Atlanta
games
on a direct
possible.
flight. So that makes it easy.
It's just
But
Atlanta's the hub.
we're excited that to
Try
be able to bring
turning down the
coverage,
audio of your interview yesterday, Sean.
and
So it makes it
obviously
a little
part
hard
of
to
this
hear.
episode, Joe got to be in the locker
this?
room
A little
and
better?
also was able to
Okay.
ask
Leave it
some
right
really
there.
awesome questions to some of the stars, both Coach Mike Leone and some of the star players.
Oh, that's right. You
Played
can
for the
fly
Sabres
anywhere.
team in the Prospect
From
Challenge.
Atlanta,
So
it's real
we're going
easy.
to continue to do that and then
Yeah.
obviously up our coverage not only on the video and audio side, but also we'll be having
You could
some
probably
written
string
articles,
together
some
some like
short and long
geographically. You
form.
know what I
But
mean?
just getting
Like,
into the
That's
actual
if we go on like
action,
on
You got
the
that
West
big
Coast
hit in
trip
the
as
third
you know,
period.
for
Is that
example.
something that you want to
There you
bring
go.
to
Here's some
Buffalo,
audio from
like
Joe.
physicality?
This is from Merca.
I want to help like as much as I can. So if it's one bar, then I would love to do that. So thank you.
guys that are playing together for the first time, from all over the world essentially, and not really know each other, no familiarity. But yeah, just give us any thoughts you had overall, and then how you thought, who stood out, and how you thought that you played.
Yeah, we'll start with Friday. I think the MVP of the Friday game was hands down Raheem Murtha.
Yeah.
This guy, he was a gamer. Like edge of your seat every time he's got the puck type of guy. Like there was this notion leading up to the draft that like this guy's gonna take 5-6 years to make it to the NHL, like big time project. I don't think so. Like I don't think he's gonna be playing games this year, but like if he continues to develop, you never know. He might be fighting for a spot next year. And I actually talked to Jarmo Kekalainen at one of the concession stands. I ran into him and asked him because it's still kind of unclear whether or not
Hot
where
off the
he's going to be
press.
playing this
Joe with
upcoming season
Kekalainen
because he started the
at the
season
hot
in
dog stand.
Czechia for his
Probably Tim
men's
Hortons
team
actually.
and then moved over halfway through to Seattle in the WHL. So I asked him like, "Hey, this hasn't really come out yet, but is Mertka eligible to play in Rochester?" And he said, "I think so, but I'm not totally sure." So he said that
Interesting.
the other assistant GM, Mark Jakubowski, would know that better, but I wasn't able to run into him after that. So I don't know if he ever got that answer or not, but pardon if you can hear my dog
Oh, you're
howling
good.
in the background. So, yeah, so it sounds like he was kind of under the assumption that he was eligible, but he wasn't totally sure about it. But I mean, it's not cut and dry either way. So I guess we'll see. But like just watching him, he looked pro ready. Like I'm not saying NHL ready, but I think the guy can play in the American League. And talking to Mike Leone post game, he was thoroughly impressed with Mertka after the game. He was very excited about him, and I would have liked to ask him his thoughts on potentially having him at his disposal for Rochester, but I didn't want to seem too ambitious with that one. I asked Yarmo on Saturday, uh, so we're talking about Friday right now, but yeah. So Mertka definitely the MVP.
What did you think of Red Savage tonight?
He was good. I thought, Red's a worker.
Yes, Mike Leone talking right now for those tuning in.
I thought he had a good game.
I was really impressed with Red
This got me
Savage,
real excited
who he
right here.
was a Detroit Red Wings draft pick, 4th-round pick back in, I want to say 2021. Yeah, 2021, 4th-round pick.
Red Savage, an older kid.
Didn't sign with them,
No
became
surprise
a free
he was the
agent,
best player out there.
and he signed a 2-year contract with Rochester, so an AHL level deal.
Two-year deal too is interesting.
A couple Sabres prospects at Michigan State, Sturback and Geary. Did you talk to them before making your decision, kind of getting their view on the?
Very interesting. You want to hear
I'm sure you had a lot of
Red's
options
response here about why he chose to sign with Buffalo.
What about Buffalo Rochester organization, maybe besides your familiarity with Leone, that made that decision for you?
Yeah, definitely. To contradict you right away, definitely the people here is the main reason I came. I played for Seth Appert as well at the program, who's up with the big boys now, and we've been family friends with Kevin Adams for a while now. My dad and him played at Miami of Ohio together, so we've known them.
Positive connection for GMKA right there.
I know that this Sabres organization wants to.
She reminds me of like the big college free agent that we always, who was a Vesey, who was the goalie that we lost.
I want to be able to come.
There's been a couple over the years.
Hopefully make the team at some point, and I felt like this is the best opportunity I can to be able to do that.
Was the captain of Michigan State University last year, but had a bad shoulder injury, missed a ton of time, but this guy might have been the best forward through the 2 games that I was at
Wow.
on the team. He was fantastic. Like, just energy, skill, defensively sound. Like, this guy, he is going to get an NHL deal. Like, one way or another, it's going to happen eventually. He was so impressive. I cannot overstate it enough. He had a goal on Saturday, a couple huge defensive plays. He was on a line with Matteo Costantini, who is a Sabres draft pick from Kevin Adams' first year. He also signed a AHL contract. So they didn't give him an NHL deal, but he's still in the organization. And also Tyler Kopp, who was coming out of Brown University, left school a year early. I don't think anyone was even expecting him to be a college free agent, but very, very big guy. I was pretty impressed with that line on both days, and they stayed together. The Sabres really kept the same lineup going into day 2 against the Blue Jackets. So the line stayed the same. They changed a couple of things, but nothing crazy. But I thought that line was great. They also had a all USHL line with a few of the prospects that they drafted in this past draft. Matus Kuharchuk, Ryan Ruchinski, and also Melvin Novotny. They played very well, and Coach Leone said after the game on Friday he thought they were his best line the whole night. And I haven't really talked about the team's performance for Friday, but I thought they played pretty well as a whole. They had Tobias Leinenen in that 2022 second round pick.
That was my
big
biggest
goalie.
takeaway. That was my biggest takeaway. Man, Mutant Joe, real quick.
Leinenen played okay.
My biggest takeaway was the goaltending of the whole performance. That kind of let him down a little bit, I thought.
Not too good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Leinenen was in there. Scott Ratzlaff was in that as well. They had a third goalie. I forget his name. But still, a couple other takeaways. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But a couple other takeaways, not only between Joe's, but Matthew Fairburn of The Athletic brought up just the fact that several players in particular had some moments to shine. Noah Oslin was showing some strong offensive play. Well, also just showing a lot of good leadership qualities. He was the 1C, playing a lot of that also. Constantinius took a nasty hit, but there were a lot of players stepping up to really go back and defend him, which I thought was pretty noteworthy.
Rosine among them.
Yeah.
Nice to see.
Roseanne himself, he's obviously, again, we've been very critical of him in the past, but he's got basically one of those nut up or shut up types of training camps ahead of him where if he's going to try and make a crack at the NHL roster, even just being one of the last forwards just to make it for the 13th forward, I feel like he's really got to have an outstanding training camp and preseason to show that he belongs in the NHL. Otherwise, I know Rachel Lindsay of the Buffalo News has brought this up, as well as probably several other outlets. Like, he should be a prime trade candidate just to see what you could possibly get for him at this point.
Yeah, 100%. This is Rosine specifically, and it was interesting to hear that Red Savage was the best forward, considering all the top draft picks that were there, Hellenius and Rosine. But again, he's an older guy. Like Joe mentioned, he was drafted in around 2021. So he's been probably to a couple different pro type of tryouts. And obviously he captained Michigan State before getting hurt last season. So it's just, it's some of these guys, I think, as far as like their runway is concerned, Rosine, to be sure, needs to show something. Or like you said, I think he gets moved as part of maybe a package.
I will give him some credit, though, because mentioned in that Matthew Fairburn article, he put on 10 pounds of muscle. So he obviously
so he weighs 165 now?
Yeah, right. Funny. But still, at the same time, it's like he's trying to add that level of physicality to his game or be able to take those types of hits or be somebody who could be more supportive to his other line mates or defensemen out there. So if he needs to be physical, he can have the wherewithal to be able to do so. One other point I wanted to make, unrelated to the Prospects Challenge, I wanted to kind of point out, and I think our friends over at Two Goalies, One Mike were on this before, maybe about a week or so ago, but Buffalo boy, Buffalo native, Gavin McCarthy over at Boston College getting the captain's position. I also pointed
Very
that
impressive.
out to my buddy John Moles, who is the cross country and track and field coach over there, just because that's one of their big things going on over there with Boston College hockey. That's their bread and butter for the Terriers up there. But Gavin McCarthy getting the captain spot, and not only as a Sabres prospect, but just as a Buffalo kid. You love to see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be in the top 3 or 4 in terms of defensive prospects that have yet to graduate and make it to the NHL level, along with Mirka, who was just drafted, Novikov. Really, I mean, there's only a handful of them. Ryan Johnson, I mean, I think at this point, I expect him to, like we talked about in previous episodes, to be on the NHL roster as maybe like the 6th or 7th guy. But as far as like the D men that are coming up that may play either in Rochester as actual prospects instead of like being journeyman players that are older, he's right at the top of the list in terms of guys with high pedigree, high prowess that look to potentially make the jump at some point. So the experience that he's going to get with captaining a program, as I like to call it,
a program like a
program like a Bama.
McAfee.
Yeah, man. Like it's gonna be awesome, and hopefully they have a chance to go pretty far this year in collegiate hockey. So that's going to be a great experience for him, and Sturbeck also, who's at Michigan State. I think those two are I kind of put those two together. Our collegiate hockey kind of top tier program,
college
defenseman.
Hockey.
Yep. So for sure.
Yeah, but just some last lingering thoughts as we're kind of wrapping things up here. We're about an hour deep. Thanks to all those who are tuning in. Again, enjoyed our time just reminiscing about the Jets game, previewing the Dolphins. Again, some great looks by our buddy Joe Marino. Appreciated having our friend Carl. He had to dip out a little bit earlier, so when Joe's audio was playing, he gave us a little heads up on that. But still, for those tuning in, thank you guys so much. One thing we have coming down the pipeline, we'll have another live show coming up at Rich Brow Brewing coming up very soon. And one of our previous guests who we're glad to bring back, Tyler Dunn, will be our guest for that show. We're excited. We're excited to bring him back, talk about not only some Bills football, but some stuff around the league just to get some good perspective once more. So we're looking forward to sending out some good little promos for that. And again, we can't wait to have Tyler back on to join us again. So,
great to have Tyler on, but something to kind of put on the calendars for everybody is in 4 weeks from now, Bills play Monday night in Atlanta. The plan, I believe, is that Mookie Hawkins, Tim Graham, and I are going to be all together. Probably going to go and crash Shout. What Shout is doing a Sunday night, the day before the Monday night game, 6 to 10 at one of the local bars here in Atlanta. So I'm going to kind of play host. We're probably just going to go and crash those guys, maybe grab a mic, who knows. But when we were at MafiaCon back in the beginning of summer, Tim Graham and I did talk about maybe putting together some type of a live pod sometime that weekend while he and I are both going to be in Atlanta. So stay tuned for that. And obviously, Chris Mass, hopefully you'll be able to jump on with us, depending on where we end up. It's kind of in the process. But so we have a lot of stuff coming down the pike for sure.
Absolutely. And not to mention all of our upcoming content we'll have with the Sabres and our coverage, especially through Joe Marino, of course, now joining us on WUFO and part of the Buffalo fan base as well. So, again, we are very excited for this year, not only for what we'll be able to provide in Bills coverage, but then also, again, literally locker room audio and more from the Sabres as well. So it's going to be a great season, and already big changes from what we were literally at a year ago at this time. So we can't be more excited for all the good Buffalo sports to come. But Shawnee V, any parting thoughts before we put a bow on this one?
No, I was just going to say, go Bills. Let's continue to stay healthy. One quick omission that we forgot, kind of like PTI, at the end of the show where they do their quick segment about things you might have forgot. Taron Johnson has said that he will play this week. So hopefully if he's healthy, he'll be out there. covering one of those fast receivers in either Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill. But yeah, let's get through another. No game is ever easy in the NFL, but we do play a bunch of very winnable games. So let's stay healthy, continue to stack wins, as we continue to head towards hopefully obtaining that number 1 seed, which we've never been able to accomplish in the Josh Allen era. So good luck to the boys. Play on a Thursday this week. It's coming quick.
Yes, and let's hope that with the result of Thursday's game, we can go into the weekend just being able to kick back, put our feet up, and then maybe just enjoy some red zone or just some of the games you want to watch stress-free. But on that note, folks, again, thanks for tuning in. And as always, let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.